Hi everybody, it's Alex Tennis, and today I'm gonna review for you the Head Prestige Tour. Let's go. So today I took out of Tennis Zone the Head Prestige Tour because I just reviewed the Head Prestige Pro and I really liked it. And like I said in my Prestige Pro review, I don't know if this racket has a future, a bright future ahead. This racket might disappear soon, so let's see if this racket still has a good place in the modern tennis era that we now live in. So first, I'm gonna talk about the specs, and then we're gonna go on the court, and finally, I'm gonna give the final rating. So the specs are pretty simple. This is a 315 gram unstrung racket with a 16 by 19 string pattern, and you have a 95 square inch head size. So pretty much a classic specs, and I have to admit I'm pretty hype about this review because you might see over there that I've played with the Head Prestige Graphene 360 Plus for quite a while. So let's see how this racket has evolved or improved. If you're looking to buy some tennis products online, then I have a great news for you. You can use the code ALEXTENNIS to have 10% off your next purchase on Tennis Zone. Thanks to them for making this video possible, and let's go back. On the court with the Head Prestige Tour, the first thing that I felt was, yes, this racket feels really stable. Yes, it feels really good, but it's quite hard to put some topspin with this racket. So when the ball was really low, I just felt like I had to go with a slice, because if I was trying to brush up the ball like a regular modern tennis player, then it was always going out, because you still have some pace due to the 315 grams racket that helps you to just produce a bit more power. Obviously this racket is not powerful, so you have to go for your shot, and so that's the point where it was too tough for me. So I can obviously rally with this racket, but I can't play some point with it, so it's impossible for me. At the net, obviously it plays great. At the serve, I was liking of speed, obviously, so you have to be strong, you have to be ready to go for your shot if you're playing with that racket. So the main thing of this racket is definitely the feel, but you have to create your own power, that's for sure. You have to play classic tennis with that racket to have some success. So some slice, trying to come to the net, but yeah, you got to be ready to push with your leg with that racket, or you will have no speed, and so you will get attacked. So that's for sure. So overall, I would say a classic racket. Obviously, you're not disappointed when you're playing with a Prestige. It's just a classic feel that everybody enjoyed, that's for sure. So I have to say that compared to my Graphene 360 Plus, it's definitely an improvement in terms of feel. This racket feels a bit more mushy, and it's not the right word because it's not too much, but it's just helping the racket to create and to generate a bit more power. So if you remember the question I had at the beginning to say that, is this racket still relevant to this day? Well, we're gonna finish the answer later, but I have to say that at least this is helping, the more flexible feel. Obviously, it's still a classy feeling overall, but yeah. So let's go with the rating. In terms of control, it's obviously great, but I had to say that with the 16 by 19, sometimes you can miss the ball, and we're gonna talk about it later with the spin rating, because sometimes you can miss your shot because the racket is definitely not made for spin. But at the same time, sometimes you need it to just brush up the ball when the ball is really low. So quite hard, but I have to say that it's still a 9 out of 10 in terms of control. In terms of power, like I said, if you're striking the ball really, really well, then it's going to be okay in terms of power. Nothing that really stands out, so I have to go with a 5 out of 10. Obviously, this is a Head Prestige, so yeah, it's not made for power. In terms of feel, definitely a great stands out. For me, this racket is a big no-no in terms of competitive players that never played with the Prestige before, because it's too hard to play with. But if you're doing like review like myself, or just taking out racket and liking to try racket, this has to be one of the racket that you need to have in your bag, because it's so fun to play with. And every Prestige that I've tried in my life, I just enjoyed it from the get-go because it's so fun to play with. But like I said, if you want to start winning some points, then it's going to be really harder. In terms of spin, I have to go with 2 out of 10, unfortunately, because like I said, you know, this racket is a bit more powerful compared to the Pro, and sometimes I just wanted to brush up the ball and it was impossible for me, even for a spinny forehand like myself. So this was pretty unfortunate because I just really like this racket. If it wasn't for that, obviously the serving is a bit tougher, but if it wasn't for that, then it would be a great racket to consider. But then, you know, this racket falls into the unplayable type of racket that is just fun to play because of the classy feel. So finally, I would recommend this racket to people who have already played with the Prestige. I don't think that you should try this one if you never played with a Prestige before. It's not a real contender. And so, unfortunately, I don't think that the Prestige line has a bright future ahead. I think it's gonna fall off to like gravities and stuff like that. Even though I know, like, you're gonna say in the comment section, it's not the same thing, yeah, but it's pretty useless to have the Prestige in the heads market right now. I think so. So that's it for the video. Hope you like it. Again, thanks to Tenezon for letting me borrow this racket. Without them, it would not have been possible. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. And see you next time. Bye bye.